Welcome back to the show. My name's Mark Nixon, and man, we got an exciting show again. It's like every day you wake up in the morning and you think there might be nothing to talk about, but nope. There's so many things to talk about. I just picked the top 3 to talk about today. First, did anybody see what happened in Australia? It's absolutely insane because it looks like the exact same thing that happened to Canada. Just a few days later, Australia did the exact same thing, but they went even harder left than we did in Canada. We're going to get into it. Second, we're going to look at Mark Carney because he had a speech yesterday and a press conference, and it looked like he was Pierre Poilievre speaking. It didn't seem like the guy that invented the carbon tax speaking. We're going to look at that as well. Then we're going to talk about Pierre Poilievre. He's back, baby. Oh, yeah, he's back. Let's go. We're going to start things off with this news clip on the Australian victory. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is absolutely insane.
18 million voters have re-elected the ruling Labour Party.
For reference, the Labour Party is the Liberal Party in Canada.
Anthony Albanese has claimed a second term as Prime Minister after a contentious campaign against a Conservative coalition. CBC's Anna Cunningham has the details from London.
This has in fact turned into a landslide victory for the ruling Labour centre-left party and Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. He is now staying in power in Australia for a second term, and it's the first federal Australian government to serve a full first term, then increase its majority. And this was not expected. It was a crushing defeat for his Conservative rival.
Oh, did you get that straight, Canada? They went so far. They got a majority after even more seats than they did the first round. We're going to get into this later on.
Let's take a listen to what Prime Minister Albanese said at his party headquarters in Sydney.
In this time of global uncertainty, Australians have chosen optimism and determination. Australians have chosen to face global challenges the Australian way, looking after each other while building for the future.
Isn't that Mark Carney's speech? It's almost as if they wrote each other's speech.
And Natasha, there is another major element in this vote. I mentioned that crushing defeat for the opposition. Well, what we've seen play out in Australia, similar to what we saw happen with Pierre Poilievre. The main Australian opposition candidate, Peter Dutton, has lost his riding. He is the leader of the Liberal Party, which, not to be confused, in Australia, the Liberal Party is the Conservative Party. What happens for him now is unclear, but he was gracious in defeat. This is what he said.
Can you believe it? Australia's Conservative leader also lost his riding. You can't make any of this stuff up, Canada.
Now, we didn't do well enough during this campaign. That much is obvious tonight, and I accept full responsibility for that. Earlier on, I called the Prime Minister to congratulate him on his success tonight. It's an historic occasion for the Labor Party, and we recognise that. I congratulated the Prime Minister and wished he and Jodie and Nathan all the very best. And I said to the Prime Minister that his mum would be incredibly proud of his achievement tonight, and he should be very proud of what he's achieved.
Natasha, there seems very much that Australians went out to vote influenced by arguments about the economy, concerns about housing and health, as well as that wider global picture, including, of course, those tariffs from US President Donald Trump's administration. It is compulsory to vote in Australia if you're aged over 18. Many people going straight from the beach to the polling booth, casting their vote. And I think, look, analysts are going to be looking at what happened in Canada and now Australia in terms of the opposition leaders, their defeat, and questioning whether this is the Trump effect that is favouring incumbents.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Is it the Trump effect? It looks like it is exactly what it is. Donald Trump literally elected liberal left-leaning governments in both Canada and Australia. But Australia got it way worse with this majority Labor government. Don't you find it absolutely insane that the conservative leaders, both in Canada and Australia, did not win their own riding? You can't make it up. I'm actually in shock right now. All right, we got to look at this. Who remembers Polymarket? It's a betting site on who's going to win the election. And in Canada, the blue line was Pierre Poilievre. And you could see that it went straight down. And by the end of it, he was at 20%. But you got to check it out. It's insane. Australia had the exact same thing. The blue line, which is the Conservatives, they were winning as well, all the way down to 20%. It's almost literally the same thing. We gotta watch this again. It's so bizarre, these two speeches.
After each other while building for the future.
It's a time to be bold, to meet this crisis with overwhelming positive force of a united Canada. Because we are going to build, baby, build.
And what's weird, isn't that what Donald Trump, drill, baby, drill?
To look out for ourselves. And above all, we have to take care of each other.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of bizarre that it seems like the same speech. And I thought that this chart was very interesting. Check out Canada and Australia population change from year 2000 to year 2023. Yeah, Australia's done far worse than Canada in that period. Very interesting. And we can't have any fun without a couple memes. Canada, wake the F up. Australia, hold my beer. And you know what's interesting is I actually saw the same meme in Canada and now it's happening in Australia. And everything's been basically the same as I've been showing you. And this one is absolutely terrifying. The Labor tried to pass the Combating Misinformation and Disinformation bill, but failed. Now they hold a majority government in Parliament. They could try again. And that's the same thing for Canada. But we don't have a majority. We have a minority. Big Brother is watching you. And remember, I just said the same thing's happening in Canada. They're just gearing us up for the next step. Check out this article that just came out today. 3/4 of Canadians say misinformation affected the federal election. That's right. They're just gearing things up. And now they're going to have to fight misinformation. And how are they going to do that exactly? I'm going to leave it for you to guess. And here's the last one. Australia understood the assignment. And Mark Carney already made it clear that his government is going to go after, and he said they're going to start off with American social media giants. And I wonder what that is.
Large American online platforms have become seas of racism, misogyny, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and hate in all its forms. And they're being used by criminals to harm our children. My government will act. And today we're announcing our plan to fight crime, to protect Canadians, and to build communities that are safe, secure, and strong. A plan to make Canada secure, to make Canada strong.
Did you understand what he just said? Online, stuff that's occurring online is spilling over onto our streets, and then he added children to the mix. You can't make any of this stuff up. I wish I could. Do you understand what he's saying? And he said, U.S. social media. Who could that be? The only thing I could think of is Facebook and X, Twitter X. And that is one of the last free speech platforms that's left. And check out this news release from Michael Barrett about Mark Carney's special interest that we'll never find out about with Brookfield.
There's a process underway with the Conflict of Interest and Ethics Commissioner's Office, and it's their responsibility at this point, as I understand it, to take the information that Mr. Carney has given them and then to provide him with advice. Does he need to recuse himself? What does he need to disclose to Canadians? What does he need to divest? Do you have faith in that office and its ability to do its job?
So the problem that we have right now is that while that advice is being developed, is we have Mr. Carney who's taking international meetings, setting national policy, and making decisions, signing orders with his black Sharpie, as we saw the other day. And what is the impact on his personal wealth, his personal investments as a result of that? Are we simply to be satisfied as Canadians that someone can be the Prime Minister of this country and be the only public official, the only public office holder in Canada who doesn't have that public disclosure? Not only is Mr. Carney the Prime Minister, he is currently the least transparent public office holder in Canada. Simply saying that, well, there's a 60-day timeline, he had the opportunity at the outset of the process when he was seeking to become the leader of the Liberal Party, where he could have disclosed this information to Canadians. Why is it that he must wait for the maximum amount of time that's statutorily allowed to him? Why won't he simply be transparent with Canadians and provide them with the confidence that their Prime Minister is acting in the best interest of Canada and not his own best interest? And what's the evidence that Mr. Carney will put his own profits ahead of Canadians? Well, just take a look at his decision. When he had the opportunity to send a message as the chair of Brookfield Asset Management to keep its headquarters in Canada, to keep it proudly Canadian. And what did he do? As he noted in his letter to shareholders, in the interest of higher profits for himself, for his board, and for their shareholders, he moved it to Donald Trump's hometown in New York City, and he sent that letter urging all of the shareholders to ratify the unanimous decision of his board, of which he was chair, in order to ensure their profits. When did that letter get sent? Within a week of Donald Trump saying that he was going to attack Canada with unjust and unjustified terror.
Yeah, I don't know what to say, Canada. I don't know how people even voted for someone that doesn't know his financial interests, because who knows? He could be working for himself and we'll never know. Yet, half of Canadians voted for this guy. Make it make sense. Check out Mark Carney's announcement on immigration.
We'll return our immigration to sustainable levels by capping the total number of temporary workers and international students at less than 5% of Canada's population by the end of 2027. That's a sharp drop from the recent high of 7.3%, and this will help ease strains on housing, on public infrastructure, and social services. At the same time, we will work to attract the best talent in the world to build our economy. We will return our immigration to sustainable levels by capping the total number of temporary workers and
All right, that was very interesting information that he just gave us. He's talking about temporary and foreign students. He's not talking about anything else. And we have 3 million of those. So if we reduce it down to the 5%, that means 1 million of these people need to exit. Is that going to actually happen? I doubt it. I bet you, and the reason he didn't talk about the other type of immigration is because those 1 million people are going to become Canadian citizens. So I've sped up this clip, but I think it's important that people see it so we could talk about it.
As I've been clear since day one of my leadership campaign in January, I'm in politics to do big things, not to be something. And now that Canadians have honored me with a mandate to bring about big changes quickly, I will work relentlessly to fulfill that trust. As I stressed on election night, I am committed to working with others, governing as a team in Cabinet and caucus, and working constructively across parties in Parliament, working in real partnership with provinces, territories, and Indigenous peoples, and bringing together labor, business, and civil society to advance the nation-building investments that will transform our economy. In the coming weeks, I will unveil more of our plans to engage with Canadians as we embark on the biggest transformation of our economy since the end of the Second World War. This will be an incredibly exciting time as we take control of our economic destiny to create a new Canadian economy that works for everyone. We will begin to set out that new path for Canada with a new cabinet to be sworn in on the week of the 12th of May and the recall of Parliament on May 26th. We will have the privilege of welcoming His Majesty King Charles III, who will deliver Canada's speech from the throne on May 27th. Her Majesty the Queen will join this visit.
Here's the thing. He wants to be this energy superpower, and he's going to work with all the provinces and all the leaders, and we're going to have a brand new, and that's what scares the hell out of me, this new system. And he's going to do these corridors, these energy corridors. But here's the thing. This is Mark Carney before he was elected.
We need to ultimately get to a point where every financial decision is taking climate change into account, the impact on the transition, and we actually drop the adjectives sustainable because it's just what finance professionals do. Secondly, on the risk side, we need the banks to look at the risks around the climate transition, which then flip to opportunities. On the opportunity side, it's really about looking for and at transition plans from all companies and backing those who are part of the solution and taking capital away from those who are part of the problem.
He's going to reward companies that are going towards net zero, and he's going to punish companies that are not going towards net zero. So does that mean oil and gas in Canada is finished? And these energy corridors he's talking about, actually power lines all across the country, northwest, south, everywhere we're going to have a bunch of power lines. And on the end of the power lines, there's going to be windmills, lots of windmills, and probably some solar panels. Just look at Spain. They almost lost all power to the entire country because there was no wind. I hope this is not the direction we are going. But obviously, I'm going to continue to provide all of you updates on where we're at. Now, let's take a look at Pierre Poilievre. Mainstream media and obviously the Liberals, everybody was talking about Pierre Poilievre is finished. He needs to leave politics. Well, just wait 1 second now. Let's hear Andrew Scheer.
Clearly, we need to think about a few things about how we fell short and why we fell. No one's here denying that. And my message to those 8 million plus, or around 8 million, I haven't done a recent check, but about 8 million people who voted Conservative hoping for that change. My message is we get that there's disappointment. We get that we need to figure something else out to win next time. We're not taking that for granted. No one's saying here, that we don't have some work to do to figure that out. But there's an incredible base of support that only Pierre Poilievre could have done for our party, and he's the only person that can continue that and finish the job.
Will he run in a by-election? I mean, I know the government will call the by-election, but is it someone going to step aside in like a so-called safe seat? Like, has that decision been made?
Look, these are early days. It's 2 days after the election. It's something that we'll be addressing going forward. But I can tell you that Pierre is staying on. He's fighting. He's gonna work with our caucus. He's gonna work with our loyal volunteers and our activists to keep the momentum going. And I am very confident that as we get through the difficult days, the next days and weeks, as we figure some of these things out, we're gonna come out the other side with a more united team, with a bigger team, with more representation from more provinces.
So I'm happy to report that Damien Kirk has agreed to resign his seat to Pierre Poilievre and begin the process for the by-election. I want to mention this guy is a Canadian hero. 6 months, that's all he needed. He won his seat by 80% of the vote, and just 6 months from now, he would have got his guaranteed pension. Put Canada first ahead of himself. If you see this man in public, you go and you buy him a beer. This man is a Canadian hero. And get this, Mark Carney has already confirmed he's going to allow the by-election to occur at the soonest opportunity possible, and that is 6 weeks from now. So that means that Pierre Poilievre will be back in the House of Commons starting in the fall. Perfect time, because guess what? Parliament shut down all summer. They get that wonderful summer holiday. But when they come back, that's right, we're going to see Pierre Poilievre battle it out against Mark Carney in the House of Commons. I can't wait. All right, I'm going to finish things off. I used to finish things off with Jagmeet Singh, but since he's gone, and hallelujah to that, never want to see that guy again, I'm going to finish things off with CBC trash. That's right, we got David Crocken that doesn't know anything about the economy or how things work. Check this out.
May not be able to rely on post-COVID inflation crisis that was fueled by, war in the breadbasket of Europe and supply.
David, you know this. You know that inflation is caused when governments print money.
Well,
that's what the Liberals did. The Liberals flooded the economy with brand new cash. It has nothing to do.
They spent money. They didn't print money. The Bank of Canada did not increase the number of banknotes in circulation in the economy. They used settlement balances.
David,
they used settlement balances to buy government bonds to put liquidity. I'm not being dishonest.
They created money out of thin air. They massively expanded the money supply. You know this.
They did not permanently increase the money supply, Mr. Scheer. But anyway, I don't want to have an argument on monetary policy. They used settlement balances to buy bonds, to lower interest rates, to put liquidity into the banking system, and then they remove those settlement balances over time. So,
are you denying that there is more currency, whether it's digital or real, in the Canadian economy today? Are you denying?
I'm saying they use settlement balances, and you're calling it money for. There may be a small marginal increase, but it is not the. Anyway, everybody had. Anyway, all right. Yeah. Here we go. But I want to ask about, we just disagreed on something here.
And this is why I said we don't need to defund CBC. We need to straight up dismantle CBC. Check out Canada's money supply. If you take a look, it just keeps going up and up and up. And every time it goes up a little bit further, that dollar that you have inside your wallet, it becomes less valuable every single day as long as there's more money circulating in the money supply. It could be printed. It could be digitally created. It doesn't matter. You increase it and it's going to cause inflation. David Crocken is spreading misinformation and disinformation. Straight up propaganda. All right, that's it for me today. If you like this report, make sure you leave a comment, share this report, like it. You know what to do. Let's grow this page. And thank you to all my new subscribers. I'll see you on the next report.